Good evening. Welcome to The Buck Stops Here. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. When a Bollywood A-lister like Karan Johar decides to become a father to twins through surrogacy, it's perhaps no surprise that it becomes headline news. Karan Johar is avowedly single. In his recent memoir titled An Unsuitable Boy, he's all but spelt out his sexual orientation as well. Why should any of this be relevant? Well, because the Surrogacy Regulation Bill, which has been cleared by the cabinet but not enacted as a law yet, had that bill been in place, had the law been in place, it would have been illegal for Karan Johar to opt for surrogacy at all. The bill bans surrogacy for singles, for foreigners, for persons of Indian origin who live outside the country. In fact, Minister Sushma Swaraj had said at the time, we do not recognize homosexual or live-in relationships. We do not want to entitle them. It is not in our ethos. We ask tonight, as Karan Johar shatters stereotypes and follows his heart, has he put the spotlight squarely back on the proposed surrogacy law? Is it unfair to deprive all others apart from infertile legally married couples from opting for surrogacy? Or is it ethical and moral to crack down on an unregulated rent-to-womb industry, even if it means depriving a wider cross-section of the experience of parenthood? Well, we're going to be joined by several stakeholders in this discussion tonight. For the moment, though, let me go across to Dr. Kamini Rai, who in fact has been one of the, who's a specialist in reproductive medicine. She's also a member of the drafting committee of one of the versions of the surrogacy bill. Dr. Naina Patel also joining us tonight. She's the MD of Akanksha Fertility Hospital and Research Institute in Gujarat. She's a pioneer in the field of IVF and surrogacy, and it was her participation on an Oprah Winfrey show that sparked a great deal of interest in India as a surrogacy destination. Joining us here in the studio, Manoj Pant, Joint Secretary, Department of Health Research in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. We're also being joined by Lalita Kumaramangalam, Chairperson of the National Commission for Women. But let me begin with the doctors on this show first. Dr. Naina Patel, would you say that at this point, of course, the spotlight may well be back on surrogacy as an option for parents, but what Karan Johar can do today may be legal, but 6 months or a year down the line, a similar person, a single father, if he decided to opt for surrogacy, may not be able to have that option at all. And what does this really mean for so many people out there who are perhaps currently deprived of the joys of parenthood? Should they not have this option?
I think it's very important.
Yes, the fact is that the people are advancing. The people now want to have a different way of lifestyle, maybe a single father, divorcee, never want to get married again, or a same-sex couple, and they have a choice to their reproductive rights. And it will be really unfortunate if these section of people are not recognized and it is imposed that they can never have a child through surrogacy. It will be a sad situation, according to me, for a certain group of people in the society who do not need this type of treatment from the government and from the society.
Would you like to spell that out for us? Because we're talking about a bill. Currently, it's not a law yet, as we've been saying. And if we can have those points up on the screen for us, these are the provisions that we know. An intending couple or a couple intending to opt for surrogacy should be married for at least 5 years, says this bill. At least one of them should also have fertility-related issues. The couple should not have any biological or adopted children. There's a certain age criteria, 23 to 50 for women, 26 to 55 for men. Only one surrogate child is allowed as per this bill. And this, of course, is the crucial bit. Gays, live-in couples, single people, foreigners, NRIs, and people of Indian origin who live outside the country will not be allowed at all. And Lalita Kumaramangalam, I want you to come in at this point on this. You know, we're talking about this as a sanskari surrogacy law. Karan Johar may have been fortunate. There are those today who are saying that he's been lucky because this is not a law as yet. What happens for those who want to take this decision a year down the line when this is a law?
Yeah, Ankita, I beg to differ with you. I am not here to talk about it as a sanskari law here. I'm here as a head of the NCW, and the only reason I'm here today despite my ill health, is because I have seen the number of women who are being victimized by what has become today not a service but a business. Officially we are supposed to have 600 clinics. We have nearer 3,000, all of whom who are unregulated. All facts, all research that is not done by the medical community or those who are involved in this trade, and I call it trade deliberately, show that over 80% of the women who are surrogate mothers are poor. When talked to privately, they will tell you quite openly that the only reason they are in this is because they want to earn money and they have no other way of earning money. Now, if you look at the question of NRIs, etc., foreigners, etc., only people come from those countries where surrogacy is already banned.
Right.
And they pay about half, most often much less than what they would incur as expenses in their own countries. On the other hand, in India, this is almost like reinforcing patriarchal notions that all women, their only purpose is to be a mother.
Okay.
While I may not personally agree with all of the provisions in the bill, let me finish, which I'm not here, I don't want to push that.
Yes.
My job as the National Commission of Women's chairperson is to see that disadvantaged and marginalized women, especially poor, whether you call them from different castes or communities is not the point. They are poor, disadvantaged women are not misutilized.
All right, I don't think anyone can have
received complaints from a village in Jharkhand. Let me finish. When we had received complaints from a village in Jharkhand that 3 girls had committed suicide, young girls, because they were trafficked in the usual manner. People traffic them saying, we're going to marry you, we're going to get you jobs. They were forced to have children one after another, and after about 5 to 6 births within 3 to 6 years, they committed suicide. And I'll tell you a very simple reason why. Because they were all virgins. And virgin girls don't have children in this country. So we are looking at it in a very narrow viewpoint. I have nothing against Karan Johar having twin children. But my fact here is that we need to look beyond merely these provisions.
Absolutely. Lalita Kumar Mangalam, we're taking your point entirely that this has become,
the lives of
in some senses, a fly-by-night industry, a rent-a-boom industry, and all of those considerations, of course, have to be taken into account. But we're also focusing today specifically on those provisions that seek to exclude some people from being able to opt for surrogacy, while it's still entirely possible for others, legally married couples, to do so. And Apurva Asrani, I want you to come in on this point because, you know, we're talking about this because of the Karan Johar case, and it's perhaps the nature of celebrityhood in this country that what a Bollywood A-lister does can actually shake and dislodge stereotypes and existing beliefs, as much as his keeping silent can have the opposite effect. I know, for instance, that as an openly homosexual person, you have gone on record to express your disappointment with Karan Johar when he wrote in his biography that he doesn't really make a secret of his orientation, but he's not going to shout it out from the rooftops because it is illegal, it is against the law in this country. But do you believe that by opting for surrogacy, in this case, he has actually chosen to live his life in a particular way that could actually help to break stereotypes, perhaps even engender a new look at this bill, which could soon be a law, which could prevent others like him from opting for surrogacy?
Yes, I mean, I think Karan Johar should be applauded for taking a stand. I mean, I definitely think he is not brave in certain situations where I would hope for him to be, but that's his choice. By opting for surrogacy, by having children, by embracing fatherhood, I think Karan Johar is making a very beautiful statement. He is basically saying to himself and to the country that I'm a family man, and you know, just because I'm not married, or I might not have a sexual orientation different from the majority, I still I subscribe to family ideals and family values. I have a healthy support structure, you know, and I am capable of being a responsible parent. And so he must be definitely be applauded.
Yes.
If you ask me personally, I'm somebody who would opt for adoption. But that is my personal
Right.
choice, because I do believe that in this country there are a lot of children who
Right.
need homes, a lot of beautiful children who need homes.
Fair enough, but
there
the
again,
choice
if you
should
look at
exist.
adoption laws,
Which
they
I
are
entirely
skewed
agree
against.
with. I
They are
laud
skewed
this
against. So
gentleman for
there's
his
a
emotions.
small point here that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
They're skewed against single men. So
Right.
single men are not allowed to adopt a child.
Right.
So what do you do then? What does that leave you with? You know, if
Well,
you want to start a
I
family,
think the adoption
you know?
laws are
So
actually.
I think the
it's certainly
problem with-
difficult. It's very difficult for single men to adopt children, but it is still possible. Whereas under this new
I lost
surrogacy
her.
law, it's not going to be possible at all. Manoj Pant, come in on this, and Lalita Kumaramangalam, I'll come back to you in a moment. Effectively, isn't the new law saying that only married people can have children? Can a state dictate who can be a parent through surrogacy? Can it say that single unmarried people have no right to be parents through
See,
surrogacy?
when we talk about single unmarried people, we have to look at it from the larger perspective. Here is one example of Mr. Keju. What he has done is entirely his personal choice. But you don't make a law keeping only one individual in mind. We have had many cases where the children born out of surrogacy have been not treated fairly. We have had many complaints where a woman, single woman, opting for surrogacy, suddenly finding a partner and then abandoning the child.
Right.
Suppose we have a case where a single male or a female opts for surrogacy and then later, due to some reason, decides to, go in for marriage and the partner.
But sir,
doesn't
just as
approve
you're
of it.
saying that, it can't just be about a single individual, can you also base public policy conversely on the worst case scenarios
See,
as we're hearing you talk?
when we drafted the law, we had
Yes.
only two things in mind. One,
Yes.
the well-being of the child. The child
Yes.
should have a normal family atmosphere, which in Indian context is of a family comprising of a man and his wife.
Right.
And second thing is the well-being of the surrogate mother, because surrogate mother, as Madam Kumar Mangalam has just pointed out, they are the most exploited lot in the country. So this bill is aimed at providing security to the surrogate mother, ensuring that she is not exploited, and the well-being of the surrogate children.
My point to you, sir, is that this law also talks about altruistic surrogacy, specifying that a close relative must be the carrier, as it were, the surrogate. So, why not have that as the defining principle? Why make a difference between legally married couples and everybody else? Because it restricts this to legally married couples who've been married for 5 years, and no one else comes within its purview. So why have that stipulation?
No, legally married couple can have a woman who is a close relative who can opt to be a surrogate mother. Nothing wrong with that.
But
Why
a
close relative?
single man or a single woman cannot choose to do even that, sir. That
No,
is
you
that
cannot.
is that is my
No, you
limited
cannot.
point.
No, you cannot, because of the simple reason that we are not sure 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, whether the child who is taken by a single mother or a single father will have a normal upbringing.
Right. Okay. Lalita Kumaramangalam, I know you made a distinction between.
But how do you? May I interrupt?
Yes. Okay, Apurva, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, how do you guarantee that a child of what you call normal heterosexual parents, people who are married, how do you guarantee that they
There
have
is no guarantee, but the
a
law
healthy
provides-
life and a healthy
No,
upbringing?
there is no
I know of
guarantee.
several
Absolutely,
married
absolutely.
married people who have abusive parents, alcoholic fathers. What you should be looking at is what kind of a person the parents are, what is their background, interview them, do a background check, look at the support structures, look at the credibility of a person. I mean, that is what you should be
That
looking at if you
exactly.
care about the child. I don't think there's anything that says that just because they're married, the marriages are breaking down.
No, marriages are breaking down, but not all the marriages are breaking down. If you look at the marriages which are breaking down, they were still very small in number.
But
Point
Manoj
number
Pant, can
one.
we
No, let
make
me complete, let me
generalizations
complete.
about
No,
what
no,
a
no.
successful relationship
no.
is and whether that is only.
I'm only saying a normal family atmosphere to the surrogate child. When you talk about whether there is a guarantee that the legally married, happily married couple will continue to be so, there is no guarantee. But there is a strong possibility that the
Yes.
child will have a normal upbringing
Okay.
if he is taken into a family
All right.
having normal values.
Okay, let's go back to the doctors on this, and I want to bring in Dr. Kamini Rao also before I come back to you, Dr. Patel. Dr. Kamini Rao, as someone who's been a member of the drafting committee that's actually looked at a previous version of the surrogacy bill, where do you come in on all this when you hear all this talk about, who can or cannot opt for surrogacy? I don't think there is any room for, two views on the fact that, yes, this kind of rent-a-womb industry that it's become can in fact cause a great deal of ethical and raise a great deal of ethical and moral questions. So we're not going into that at all. We're only talking about the restrictiveness that this law would bring about. Dr. Rao.
I think first and foremost, I would like to say that the drafting committee was actually commissioned by the Government of India
Yes.
to look into this, and it spent almost 15 to 18 years drafting this bill with a lot of public debates on this bill. In fact, we had Dr. Pushpa Bhargava to help us out as the chairman of this committee, and when the government has given the permission to commission a group of experts on this field and to come out with the ART bill and the surrogacy in that, I don't understand how a few people can actually hijack this surrogacy bill independent of the ART bill and say that this bill can be passed, because there is no surrogacy bill without the ART bill.
Right.
And also, I would like to say, why should the government go into the bedrooms of every family to tell them whether to have or not have a pregnancy, and whether all women, any women that are going through surrogacy have been exploited? In fact, gynecologists look into the welfare of the surrogate as well as of the commissioning parents, because we as doctors do not differentiate between the two. And if we find that there is an exploitation, then I'm sure we will be able to look at it. Why don't you allow the doctors to do their jobs? Because I do not believe today that you have a few ministers to sit and decide about a bill that has gone through almost 15 years of public debates with a multi group of stakeholders having to decide on this.
Okay.